Ba-na-na-na. Welcome to Kocosports TNA Bound for Glory review. I am the huge one, Dave Coco from Kocosports.com, Kocosports.net, and TNA's Bound for Glory. I was on Bound for Glory. People thought it was a WrestleAM podcast, and I am from Kocosports.com, where the world comes to kick ass. You're home for combat sports, and above all, where it's okay to be a passionate fan. And I am joined by my oldest tag team partner, not my most popular tag team partner. Hopefully Boom Boom will be back tomorrow. But my oldest tag team partner, the Fighting Irish Jerry O'Neill, also from Kocosports.com.
I assure you, sir, I am from your main competitor, Kocosports.net.
Yeah,
it's kind of like left Twix and right Twix.
Exactly. I love the fact that you do everything for the site, and I'm like, joined by me.
Well, I'm not the famous EC3 tag team partner. As a matter of fact, EC3 said that next week on Impact, he was going to reveal who his new partner or his new servant or butler, whatever the heck Spud was, his new personal assistant. That he was going to reveal who his new personal assistant was, and he said he had scoured the entire globe. And based on what I saw at Bound for Glory, I think that you, Dave Kokotis, are the new personal assistant for EC3.
I live in Tokyo, Japan, and I got really good seats. If you watch the pay-per-view, you can see my fat ass right there ringside, and I enjoyed the pay-per-view a lot. But you watched it on pay-per-view, so I don't know what they did commentary. I don't know what they cut out. It was totally different. As far as some of the questions that we keep getting repeated over and over. Oh, before we get to the questions repeating over and over, please, down in the comments, put win, loss, or tie, what you thought of it. I thought it was a win, but I was there live, so that's kind of unfair. What did you think? Win, loss, or tie?
I am going to give it a win as a very good wrestling show. As a pay-per-view, I'm not 100% sure that it was worth $60 as a pay-per-view, and I'm not 100% sure that it even costs. I don't know exactly what it costs in the States. I'm up in Canada. But the people were saying it was roughly around $60. If that's what it was, I'm not 100% sure that it was worth that amount of money being spent. But had I watched it as an pay-per-view or something of that nature, I definitely wouldn't have thought twice about dropping $9.99 or or even $14.99. Anything from $10 to $20 as a pay-per-view, it would definitely be worth it. As a wrestling show, though, I definitely give it a 1. I just don't know whether it was what you would have expected from a pay-per-view, but it was definitely different and definitely an entertaining show.
Yeah, so please in the comments put win, loss, or tie. I thought it was a win, but this is what I basically said. I said the audience absolutely loved it. The people of Japan loved the show. My friends and family had a fun time. I had a fun time. But I said $60 is a lot, considering I was 2 rows back and right on the ramp and as close as can be. Only one guy was ahead of me, and I paid less money for that seat than every American that paid for that pay-per-view did. That's kind of, and not only that, but I got to see it live. You guys got to see it 24 hours later. I don't know if that's a good selling point. You know what I mean? I know, granted, not everyone can fly out to Tokyo, Japan, but I don't think you should get ringside seats close enough that you're actually part of the show for a cheaper price than the pay-per-view. That's one good thing TNA do. It was TNA did a lot of bad stuff going into this pay-per-view, and Wrestle One did promote it well. But one good thing they did is, I think they might have did it by mistake. Tokyo cost a lot of money, and their tickets were crazy cheap. A lot of people thought they gave away the tickets. I don't think any of those tickets were given away. I just think in Tokyo, you go to an indie show, and it costs you $100. It's just expensive. Like you'll go to the Japanese indies and be like, wow, look at that. There's 100 people in the crowd. What fucking losers. I got 800 people for $5. I'm like, yeah, but all those people out of those 100 in Japan, they probably paid $70 to $100 for those tickets. In Tokyo, they just pay a lot. So it came up to Tokyo with American prices, and people were like, "Bitches, this is almost free." Done and done, and they packed the place. I actually bought like 10 to 20 tickets for friends and family, and we went, and it was kind of embarrassing because people were busting my balls that Bobby Lashley, Bobby Roode ain't gonna be there, the false advertisement, because that's one thing Japan absolutely hates is false advertising. And we went there an hour before showtime, and dude, there was no one around, maybe 10, 20 people, and my Japanese friends were busting my balls, be like, this is the American product. So we went to a very expensive baseball restaurant, and if you can afford it, it's really good. It's American food, a baseball themed restaurant near the Tokyo Dome. We went there, ate nachos, got a couple drinks in us, and we came back, and it was like fucking WrestleMania. The fucking place was packed. All right, it was just holy shit. What the fuck? I know Japan is last second getting tickets and last second showing up. They have a tradition of that, but from an hour there was nobody. Like there was cosplay right next door to the event, and more people in the cosplay. I guess show. I don't know what the hell cosplay Super Bowl. I don't know what you'd say, but there was more people there than at the wrestling event. And then out of nowhere, it's like bam, tons of people. So I was happy that TNA sold out. And a lot of people in the Twitter is making fun of, and dude, that's like Madison Square Garden. That's very famous and legendary building. So I know, and me and you talked about this off the air. Maybe we could talk about it. I think a lot of people, they want an alternative to WWE so that it forces WWE to be good, but they also want to make fun of anyone who supports a smaller company. Do you notice that about wrestling fans?
I do, but what I think in terms of how people are looking at it is they're just looking at the production value of the product. And honestly, here's the thing. I think that in the past few weeks, and definitely at Bound for Glory, that that has changed. I mean, even my own mindset on that has changed because one of my biggest problems with Ring of Honor, for example, was is it an alternative to WWE? Yeah, definitely it was an alternative, but it was like you were kind of spoiled by WWE's production quality. You weren't spoiled by the wrestling by any means, but you were definitely spoiled by the production quality of their product. And so if you're used to watching something in high definition, you're used to watching a very slick, well-produced show. They got the fancy graphics, the audio is perfect, and then you go to watch something that isn't quite as good, and you immediately, it takes a little adjustment to do that. That's where WCW had that Ted Turner money backing them, so that wasn't an issue. But I think what TNA has done, in recent weeks, is they've changed the entire look of their product, and definitely I think when you look at their product now, at least for me, I don't compare it as much to the WWE product. I look at it as being something completely different and being wrestling centric as opposed to WWE sports entertainment centric product. So I think that tonight's show, the Bound for Glory show, or last night's show, I should say, it definitely had a different look and different feel to it, and I think the location, the venue, everything added to that. So I mean, I think the more they can differentiate themselves from the WWE product, the better. And I think the people who are complaining, really, they can't complain that much about the in-ring product because the in-ring product is better than what WWE is offering. I think it's just that mentality, and I can tell you from working for a little bit in television, that a lot of people will tell you this. They'll say, "Oh, I only watch high definition." And I'm like, really? Because I only watch things that are entertaining to me. But there are people out there who have spoken to me and said, oh, I only watch things if they're in high definition. So, I don't personally get that mentality, but those people are out there, and I think those are the type of fans that complain and are haters on TNA.
Yeah, I have no idea. That shit just blows my mind. Like, I don't know. I'm blind as a bat, so I can't even tell there's between high def and a book. Like, what? Is that a book? Is that Stephen King's Under the Dome NBC series, or is that a book? Like, Dad, you're holding a book again. Thanks. I don't know. I just grew up where we traded tapes, and, you know, you would see, like, ECW, and in between matches, you would see, like, oh, fuck, we fucked up the recording. There's a little bit of Transformers and a little bit of a porn. And then back to ECW. I don't understand. Like, a lot of people say it's the English commentary. A lot of people say it's the way it looks. I don't get it. It's professional wrestling. It's a sport. Now, granted, are all those things a bonus? Yeah. But, you know, I'm the type of guy that's like, I watch Lucha, and I have no idea what the fuck they're saying. I watch Dragon Gate. I don't know what the fuck they're saying, okay? All right, maybe Dragon Gate I have a little bit of advantage of because I live in Japan. But still, like if someone says, what did Yamato say? And I'm like, he said, go to Kocosports.net. Stop asking me questions. But I don't know. I find that to be really fucking weird. And I know I might be in a minority here, but you know, maybe just today's generation is spoiled with technology. But like, I don't get it. I don't fucking get it at all. You know what I mean? Like, what do you mean? It's got to be like it. It's got to look.
I would definitely agree.
We grew up ECW fans. I think if you grew up an ECW fan, you're like, that's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, and another thing, and I'll go back a little further, was, you know, growing up in Europe. I mean, growing up in Ireland, I didn't have access to WCW. As you know, WWE was the predominant wrestling company on television. WCW had one show. It used to be on ITV on a Thursday night at about 2 a.m. and you had to stay up late to watch it, and then you had school the next day because it was still, you know, it was a Thursday night. So you had to stay up late to watch it. So to see anything else, and I think it was WCW, it started off as Power Hour, and then they changed it to Worldwide. But
I thought Power Hour was the greatest name for a show ever.
I am so sad that it's not still around, and I love the presentation and everything of it. But to see anything else, you know, obviously Nitro came around, and that was broadcast on an English language channel. It was broadcast on TNT. But any of the other shows, WCW Saturday Night, Thunder, anything else that they did, to see that stuff and to see the pay-per-views, we had to watch German television because it was all done on DSF, which was a German satellite channel. So you had to, in order to watch it, you had to be dedicated because you had to like sit up and watch the German channel and look at the different listings because we didn't get, you know, German magazine, we just got the German TV channel. So we had to like watch it to figure out when the shows were going to be on, and there's a time difference and all this stuff, and there was no internet to help you with that. You couldn't just go to, you know, certain websites and you know, have a listing of when stuff was going to go and just know that you were going to be able to see it when it was on. And I actually got into it so much that I learned German just from watching WCW programming on DSF. So I mean, I'm sitting like, and to this day I'm like, oh, Ric Flair gegen Hulk Hogan for das WCW Heavyweight Gürtel, Samstag 9 station on DSF. I learned German from watching WCW. So that's how hardcore you had to be back then. But nowadays it's just everyone wants everything handed to them on a silver platter, and unfortunately.
But the thing is, it doesn't even matter if it's good, though. That's the part I don't get. That's the part I don't get. It reminds me of the South Park episode where people have dude, it's one of my favorite South Park episodes ever. I think it was last season finale, and it's with having the girlfriends and the photos on their phone, and the photos on their phone are photoshopped and look great, but they have a bag of ass next to them, but they don't fucking realize it. That's what the fuck it reminds me of in WWE. It reminds me of that South Park episode. They're like, oh, look how shiny it is. Look how great it is. Yeah, but it fucking sucks. The product sucks. But did you see how shiny it was?
Well, you know, that's the thing. I really wish WWE at the moment, because they do have such great presentation, and they're such a great production company. They're such a great marketing company. And I really, really wish that they would turn around and get behind other wrestling products and allow them on the network. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen unless someone else turns around and starts a 24/7 wrestling channel. There used to be one in the UK. It was just called the Wrestling Channel. It was based out of Dublin, Ireland, and they Noah, they had Ring of Honor, they had TNA, they had basically every wrestling product that you can imagine that was not WWE was on the Wrestling Channel. Unfortunately, the ratings just weren't there. They didn't operate 24 hours a day. They ran about 12 hours a day.
Yeah,
And
well,
then
yeah, look at that. They're right there. Like, I'm like, why didn't they do good? And then first thing, like, they didn't run 24 hours a day. They were like 12 hours. Like, of course
Yeah,
you're gonna do
well,
horrible there.
they didn't show stuff really late at night because in order to cover the cost of the satellite transponder they were on, they had to share it with another channel. So basically, for 12 hours at night, it was 12 hours of infomercial and porns, and then for 12 hours during the day, it was 12 hours. And I think they started around noon, and had 12 hours of different pro wrestling shows every day. But the problem was they just didn't have the money behind them. They were starting to run their advertising commercial breaks. They were filling up with music videos from Japanese wrestling and different stuff. So the advertisers weren't coming. They got a bad rap. They were taken over by the Fight Network, which is a Canadian station. They changed their name to the wrestling channel. It was TWC. They changed it to TWC Fight. And eventually it just, they ran it and ran it and ran it, and eventually it went out of business. There's rumors that another company in Ireland is now, probably with some of the same people attached, going to try and start another wrestling channel, but this time offer it as an online service similar to WWE. You know what? WWE could easily blow that out of the water with their production value and with how they can promote the product. And this is the problem. You get people who really love pro wrestling, but they have no marketing or production background, so they can't put on, they can put on an in-ring product that people want to see, but they can't put on an entertainment product that people want to see. And then WWE, on the other hand, they seem to have given up on pro wrestling, and they're just putting on the shiny entertainment product. And I think somewhere along the line here, there needs to be a meeting of the minds, because if you got a really good pro wrestling product over here, but it looks like shit, and over here you got a shitty pro wrestling product, but it looks fantastic. I mean, it's common sense to me, and I think that middle ground right now is probably NXT. But it's got to be more than one show. There's so much content out there that they could easily fill a network if WWE just didn't have an ego and would allow that to happen and would allow other shows on their network.
Yeah, and let's think back to TNA right now. And I just want to say the winner of pay-per-view profits wasn't me. I have the worst pay-per-view in the world. I left pay-per-view. I left Bound for Glory going, wow, I won pay-per-view profits. I got every single one right. And then I replayed and watched my list. I was like, oh no, I did not get every single one right. But someone that got 7 out of 8 right and got all 3 tiebreakers. He beat out Mr. the King. Mr. the King had 7 right, but only 2 tiebreakers. And I believe he won the last pay-per-view profit. So we have another guy on a roll. But usually people who keep winning pay-per-view profits, they get a huge ego and then fucking go away. Like the last guy who won 3 or 4 in a row was like, I'm too good to give pricks on YouTube. I'm like, all right, that's fucking a weird thing to say, but I believe he's won 2 in a row. I'm not sure, but Rick, 1982, he won 7. He got the main event wrong, and he got all 3 tiebreakers. So congratulations. Before every pay-per-view or before every big event, we try to do pay-per-view profits. And Rick, 1982, give yourself a Barry Horowitz. You are the pay-per-view prophet. All right. Let's get into TNA. All right, I'm just going. I don't think these matches are a bit out of order. So I'm looking. Is this? Yeah, I'm looking at the results. All right, we'll just go with what Kocosports.net has. This is definitely out of order. But match of the night. Thank you, Joe. Everyone went crazy cheering for him. Samoa Joe defeats Kaz Hayashi and Low Ki, which was the match of the night. I don't know how it came off on television, but live, it was exciting, it was fun, and people went crazy, and there was a big fat white guy starting a thank you Joe chant, and it went around, and I believe that, I don't know, did they have a post-match interview with Samoa Joe?
They did show a post-match interview with Samoa Joe where he
I don't think that was
Japanese
planned.
fans.
I don't think that was planned because Samoa Joe got the biggest reaction of the night because Samoa Joe was headed towards the back. And Jeremy Borash, you don't know how hard he works. Granted, me and Jerry, we got to meet a lot of TNA celebrities via interviews back in the day because we did radio, and we always knew Jeremy Borash was hard worker. But dude, when you go there live, this son of a gun is doing 900 things at once. Well, like, he's just entertaining to watch. He's doing like 12 jobs at once. He's like juggling, getting the fans pumped up, ring announcing, directing it. And yeah, I'm pretty sure the only reason there was a post-match interview is because the fans went absolutely crazy for Samoa Joe. And then Samoa Joe gave the same goddamn post-match interview he's ever given. But I thought it was match of the night. I thought it was amazing. And Samoa Joe defeated Kaz, Hayashi, and Low Ki. How was it on television? Because on live, and we got two different views here. Live, with no commentary, it was match of the night, and it got the fans all crazy.
You know what? It actually came off amazing on television as well, and Low Ki looked absolutely fantastic. I think was Joe obviously won the match, but I thought Low Ki was one of the MVPs of the match because I just thought everything that he did just was so on the mark, so well executed. Yeah, the match came off amazing. Low Ki was brilliant. Samoa Joe was great as always, and it was really nice to see Kaz Hayashi because for people living over here, we haven't seen Kaz Hayashi on TV in a very long time. I think it's been since the WCW days since we saw Kaz Hayashi on Monday Nitro. So yeah, I'm definitely giving that match a win.
Yeah, it was a real exciting match. It ends with Samoa Joe making Low Ki tap out, and it was just enjoyable. And like I said, I don't know, like we were there live, and it looked like there was a lot of timing mistakes, but I'm pretty sure they fixed that in editing. But because it wasn't live on pay-per-view. But Samoa Joe, everyone was going crazy for him. Probably the loudest reaction was for him. And I know that Dudley's tried to get the loudest reaction, but it definitely went to Samoa Joe. And then
the next match, actually, I think the first match of the night, it may not be in that order. The first match of the night, I think, was actually Minoru Tanaka versus Manik.
Yeah, that was the match. I'm just reading it as the results, but that was the opening match for it. There was a funny "Let's go Manik, Let's go Tanaka" chant going on at the live audience. The crowd was really into it. Like I said, the Japanese people had a lot of fun. There was foreigners. I got to meet two guys from Israel, an indie wrestler from England. A lot of new Japanese fans I got to meet. I got to meet a lot of fun people, but everyone at the arena was having a great time, and like it was just a good environment. It was like, fuck it, we're gonna have fun tonight. And there was a "Let's go Manik, Let's go Tanaka" chant, and the crowd was heating it up. But I'm gonna be completely honest, live, it looked like we speak two different languages. We don't work together. This is awkward. Fuck it, the fans are going for it. Was there any awkwardness on television, or did it not look? Because it looked like they weren't laying into each other. They weren't stiffing each other. And I don't know if that was because of language barrier. I don't know what it was. But even though the fans were going absolutely crazy for this match and most of the matches, it seemed like Manik and Tanaka, we barely know each other. Should we beat the fucking shit out of each other? But sometimes those matches where they're not really laying into each other look good on television. How did it look on television?
You know what? It didn't look bad on TV at all. I didn't really notice that there was, I didn't really notice how stiff they were working. But what I did notice was there were some timing issues in that match. There seemed to be some awkward stalls, which I think were fixed by editing, but the editing wasn't that great, so you could kind of tell where the edits had been made. So they did fix them as best they could. The match probably did come off better on TV just because it looked like they edited some stuff, and they may have even cut the match time down a little bit. So there may have been stuff that was taken right out. But overall, definitely was an entertaining match. And other than
is Manik the same guy that was Suicide? I'm pretty sure because I seen him in Florida in the Eclipse. Dude, I watched.
He was one of the Suicides.
Yeah, well, TJ. I was about to say TJ Parker, but that's not right. I don't know, but
Wilson?
if it's the same guy, I saw him in Eclipse, and he was small as shit. Then I seen him come on the ramp, and I'm like, holy shit. He's definitely been John Cena and up the gym. So congratulations for that. But yeah, Tanaka wins. He defeats Manik, and it gets a thing. I don't know if this is the next match. I'm
No, I'll
going
tell
to.
you what, the next match was actually EC3 versus Hama.
Now listen, I think this show, a lot of people going in were upset about false advertising. But as soon as they got in that building, that was forgotten about. Like, you could hear rumblings while they were in line. Fucking no champion here. No fucking Bobby Roode. No Bobby Lashley. You know, you could hear that rumbling. But as soon as they got in, they forgot. And I think this show was booked great. Now, the problem is EC3 is a heel, and I don't think TNA knew how fucking much Japan loved EC3. Like, he was supposed to be a heel, and Hama's loved. I know a lot of people don't think, oh, maybe Hama's the bad guy. I think they made a huge mistake with not Hama coming out first. Because they brought out EC3, and, like, at first we were going absolutely crazy for EC3. The whole fucking arena is going crazy. He's trying to cut a heel promo, and he's saying something, I forget what his exact quote was, but he's something like, oh, Japanese people, ha 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 ha, bad, get it?
I think, if I remember, that the quote is like, I'm going to speak to you in a language that you can understand. So it's like, me, EC3. Me, very good. Oh.
Well, the best part is, like, 10 people in the corner started booing, and it got the EC3 maniacs going.
This was where they cut to a close-up shot of you, and they stayed on it for quite a while. They cut to a close-up shot of you, and if you watch the pay-per-view through Magic, but if you watch the pay-per-view, at that point, right after he says that, they cut to a close-up shot of you losing your shit.
Yeah, well, fucking everyone started screaming, we still love you. Because he was like, he's trying to be a heel, and it's just not fucking working. And then he almost gets the audience, like, hey, guys, I'm the heel, right? And we're like, yeah, EC3. And then, like, maybe, like, some guys in the corner are like, boo. And then people just lose their shit, and they're screaming, we still love you. So EC3 was probably... EC3 and Samoa Joe were by far the most loved guys there that night. And I think that might have pissed off the Dudleys, but that's just me, you know, conspiracy theorying. But yeah, dude, people went absolutely crazy for EC3. And I think, like, booking-wise, it's a small mistake. If you wanted EC3 to be the heel, you had to send out Hama first. Because then, like, the audience was awkward because it was like, we still love you, AC3. He could have said anything. He could have been like, white people wearing Tokyo Giants hats that talk on YouTube and live in Japan, I'm going to shit in your mouth. And be like, we still love you. So people still went crazy. But then you were expecting Hama to get booed. And, like, we're like, no, that cute chubby fucker's never getting booed here. So it was like,
yeah, I'm glad you said that. I'm glad that you said he was cute, because I think that Hama, like, if I could shrink him down to about, baby size or slightly larger, I just want to carry him around all day and tickle him onto the chin.
Dude, I have no idea. He's a sumo guy. He never.
I want to poke him in the tummy like the Pillsbury Doughboy.
Like, Hama's like the biggest mystery in the world. Like, Wrestling Renton did a short documentary on YouTube, maybe 5-10 minutes long, about the career of Rick Rude. We'll put that up on Kocosports later. But he did this documentary. I want a documentary on Hama because he was never that good of a sumo wrestler. He was good enough to keep a job. You know what I mean? He was never Yokozuna. He was never anything. But, like, he must be adorable and fucking hilarious because every famous fucking sumo wrestler, Akebono, Hakuho, all of them are like, oh, no, Hama's my homeboy. He's on my team. So, like, he's just the most beloved average sumo wrestler ever. Now, granted, he did make it to the pro leagues of sumo. But just imagine, like, being in the NBA and being the most average fucking NBA player, but being beloved. Everyone fucking loves him. And then Akebono, who, decided to sign a contract to All Japan because they used to be a tag team, and Hama decided to stay with Muta's 0-1 on the breakup. Dude, like, I don't understand. Like, I want in documentary. How the fuck do we love this guy? But we do. And I think if they wanted EC3 to be a heel, you had to bring Hama out first. Because it was weird. It was like EC3 trying to be a heel, and we're like, no, not in Tokyo. We ain't having any of that, sweetheart. Not on my watch. And then people were like, oh, okay, you know, because there was a couple foreigners there. They're like, oh, I guess Hama's the bad guy. And then Hama comes out, we're like, Hama, Hama. So it was like, I don't know. I'm being a little bit sarcastic, but just on a smaller version, it was like Rock versus Hogan. It's like, we love you both. Fuck you guys. There's no heel tonight. And EC3 wins. And, dude.
I just want to say something about this match. I have to point this out. First of all, EC3 is the greatest character that I think, TNA have ever produced. He's honestly, to take someone who was floundering in WWE and was doing nothing, to bring him down there and to show what he can do and to showcase his talents as an entertainer and a wrestler, they've done a fantastic job with him, and I think that he should be the future of their company. The company should be built around the heel champion, and having various different baby faces make runs over a period of time to try and take the title from him. But the second thing that I want to say is I had never seen Hama in a professional wrestling match. Now, I am a huge sumo fan, and I had seen Hama compete in sumo matches before. I'm in the Japan Sumo Association, and I'd seen what he could do there. But one thing that I want to point out is that a lot of people don't treat sumo seriously. They don't treat sumo wrestlers as athletes. They look at it, and people all the time ask me, because we cover all the bashos on Kocosports, and whenever I can, I watch them live, and people will say to me, "Geez, isn't it boring? Isn't it just the same thing over and over again? Isn't it just two fat men belly bouncing each other out of a ring?" And they don't understand the techniques for a start or the intricacies of sumo. But the other thing they don't understand is exactly how strenuous of a sport sumo really is, and what a great athlete you really have to be to compete at a high level. And for anyone who is interested in that, go to Kocosports, go to our sumo section or our documentary section. It should be in both, but we have at least 2 or 3 documentaries there, chronicling the training that it takes to become a sumo wrestler and the hardships, and actually showing what they go through. But I think that tonight, if you actually look at Hama, for a man of that size to be able to move the way he moves and have the speed that he has, I think that shows that nobody else at that kind of weight or that kind of bulk or size is going to be able to move around the ring the way that he does, and there are very few people who can at that size or weight. So I just want to say what a great athlete Hama is, as well as a great sports entertainer.
Yeah, and as far as sumo goes, this is how I break it down, because I absolutely love sumo. You love sumo. David Cooey loves sumo. And it's weird because sumo makes the most money on our site, but gets the least amount of hits. But sumo is, I'm going to break it down the simplest form possible. It is like it's great athletes such as, it's Badgett overweight judo, but, and I'm breaking this down as dumb as can be, it is King of the Mountain at the highest level. It's like the highest level of King of the Mountain, and it's just absolutely amazing. I love this sport, and a lot of people are like, why? If you start watching it, you'll find out why. And speaking of us loving sumo, dude, EC3, I just gotta say this before we go to the next match, was so over in Japan. My wife was like, who the hell was that? Her friends were like, who the hell was that? Everyone liked it. When I was taking a piss during a quick intermission, people, like, Japanese people were like, trouble. Like, dude, EC3, I don't know if everyone in that arena fucking loved him before he came out of that curtain, but everyone loves him now. If I was TNA, I would definitely bring EC3 on some tours, especially because you can have a plus. He is beloved, and he tried to be a heel, and we're like, no, we're not having any of it. And that's the one thing that TNA and WWE does a good job at this house shows, but American companies that come to Japan, there's one thing to understand about the fan base, and this saying, I'm not speaking for every Japanese / person that lives in Japan, but it's just something like market research. They're not going to root for who you tell them to root for. That's why Vince McMahon, the WWE house shows, are good. And in TNA, they made a mistake with EC3. They're not going to root for who you tell them to root for. They're not going to root for who you think the bad guy is. They are going to root for the most talented / entertaining guy. If that guy's a heel, if that guy's a face, they're fucking rooting for them. That's why a lot of people are like, oh my god, who's the heel, Okada or the Bullet Club? And like, people in New Japan are like, what do you mean? Like, they don't grasp the concept of heel and face like Americans do. I mean, they understand it. They're like, oh, dun 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 dun, he's the good guy, I get it. But they just root for their favorites and the most talented and people that entertain them. So, like, if Hama comes out and is like, I'm a bad guy, we're like, we don't give a fuck, you're Hama, we love you. If EC3 comes out and is like, I'm a good guy, we don't give a fuck, we love you. And I think EC3 learned that firsthand. Because didn't he say something like, I just found out I'm huge in Japan?
Yes, he did.
So, there you go. All right, what was the next match on the list?
Okay, I'm not sure if this is in the right order, the following two matches, but we're going to go MVP versus Sakamoto.
This was a really good thing. I screamed at MVP coming out. I was like, welcome home! And he's like, who the fuck is this white guy screaming at me? MVP does defeat Sakamoto. I love Sakamoto. I've loved Sakamoto for the longest fucking time. I think he's the best kept secret in Japan that a lot of fans don't fucking know about. He has mastered being a fucking heel in a country where being a heel doesn't matter. He just does amazing fucking things. And I guarantee TNA, I don't know if this is true, maybe Wrestle One, someone went to Sakamoto and be like, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this. Because sometimes he'll look, he makes, it's an illusion, but you get the point. He pulls out his pubes to go to shake your hands and then blows it in your face. And he's just fucking great at being a scumbag fucking heel. He's so good at being a scumbag heel. And I know MVP is a heel in TNA land, in America land, the land of the free. But here, MVP is considered, you know, one of Japan's talents. They're like, no, MVP, he's New Japan. You know,
I don't know if they showed this in the arena or if they showed this on the video screen. But before they had that match, MVP came on and started talking about how all of his heroes in wrestling were Japanese wrestlers. And he said, you know, I broke into wrestling. He said, most of you people watching growing up, your heroes were sports entertainers. He's like, your heroes were American wrestlers. He's like, my heroes were Japanese wrestlers, and I fell in love with the art of professional wrestling, not the business of wrestling.
That is fucking awesome. No, they did not show that live, but that was a huge mistake by TNA because I'm getting fucking goosebumps. That shit would have went over like $1 million fucking dollars. The only goddamn video package we had was goddamn fucking Matt Hardy as a gift. I fucking chanted, send that motherfucking gift back. I was like, how is it Columbus Day? Let's pretend it's Columbus Day because I have no fucking idea what holiday is in America.
Did you chant? Did you keep the receipt?
No, I should have. No, I chanted, you should stay home. Just stay home. Just stay home. What the fuck kind of gift is that? And then I was saying the gift was like when the white man gave the Native Americans fucking blankets. That's what fucking Matt Hardy gift was. Fucking dude. Like, and it was so funny too, because like I had tickets. Because like, you know, me and my friends were Jerry knows what type of friends I have. We have questionable friends. I don't want to say that. We'll just say tattoo gentleman friends. And like, you know, going and getting tickets for events ain't no problem, you know, but my health is the problem.
Yeah.
I don't go to a lot of events
the thing is, I should ask, your these particular friends, I mean, if I was to say, you know, maybe cross one of these friends or offend one of these friends, would I be leaving short one finger?
Possibility. But I had tickets. I had tickets because I love Muta, and I'm like, oh, I don't know, because I'm really sick, so I have to like ask doctor's permission to leave the house for like more than like I think 8 hours or 6 hours. Your health is good when you have to ask permission to leave your house for more than 6 hours. And I was like, all right, yeah, I got these tickets. I'll just ask my doctor, if I can get cleared to go to this event.
Ask your doctor if Bound for Glory is right for you.
Yeah. And so I had the tickets, and we buy the tickets, or maybe they fell off of fucking back of a truck. But anyway, we get the tickets, and I kid you not, it was like November 1st. I'm like, here you go. I'm like, I love Great Muta, and I want to see the 30th anniversary of Great Muta, but I ain't fucking going to fucking support fucking Matt Hardy. And I don't even hate Matt Hardy that much. I just hate him enough not to go to an event for free. I think that's a whole nother level of hate. But Sakamoto is amazing, and I wish they showed that MVP. I thought this was a very solid technical wrestling match, very stiff, and these guys went at it. There was a couple funny chants about Tenzai. I don't know if that got on the air. There was Tenzai told him that, where's Tenzai, and if I don't know, because, like, you don't know what makes on the air or something, but there was, where is Tenzai? NXT. Where is Tenzai? NXT. So, yeah, then we started, his name's Giant Bernard. So, yeah, we enjoyed it, but we still had fun. But I thought this was a great technical match, and MVP and Velvet Sky were the guests you couldn't meet before the show. So a lot of people were meeting Velvet Sky and MVP. And I'm just happy that MVP is fucking back home.
I just want to point out, just when you mentioned Velvet Sky, Dave, for anyone who's listening who hasn't checked it out yet, Dave actually sent, right after the pay-per-view had ended, sent a whole bunch of photographs over. We got them up on Kocosports.net. We actually tweeted some of them out as well. One of the photographs that you actually sent was, and I can see the point when I watched the pay-per-view, I could see exactly the point where you took it, but it was like you were taking a picture of Velvet Sky during her entrance, and there's like Velvet Sky standing at the entrance, another one of Velvet Sky standing at the entrance, Velvet Sky's walking towards the ring, then Velvet Sky's in the ring. Then for some reason Velvet Sky was back out on the ramp, but the picture was just Dave taking pictures of her ass. And there was nothing else in the photo. It was like he just like stuck the camera as close up her skirt to her ass as he could possibly get and took a picture of her ass.
I know this is good. I don't think
I'm just saying, Dave.
I don't want to throw any family members under the bus, but I don't think I took that photo. So we'll just leave it at that. I'm pretty sure I didn't take that photo. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I just want to put over Sakamoto one more time. There are rumors, I don't know how true it is, that they might be sending him to TNA. I hope that's the case, because I remember seeing Sakamoto, this is back when I was promoting wrestling, and I just wrote down everything he did as a heel. I'm like, holy shit, this is great. And then I went back to the indies, Eric Bischoff style. 3 people got that joke, but those 3 people are better than the rest. Eric Bischoff style went back to America and said, yo, bro, check out these heel tactics. And every heel's like, yeah, I'm not doing that. Nope, not doing that. Nope, not doing that. I'm like, all right. So I don't know if people will enjoy Sakamoto as much as I do, but, dude, that guy, please try to check him out. All right, well, what was the next match? What I am going to say,
just before we move to the next match, so far as, this is one of the things that I thought while watching the pay-per-view, is a lot of these guys haven't been seen, they either haven't been on North American or European television in a very long time, or they've never been on North American or European television before, and this will be the first time people in those markets see some of these guys perform. Now, that's great if you like them, but then you can't follow them any further. You're like, oh, I really enjoyed watching that guy wrestle, but he's not part of TNA. He's not going to be an Impact this week. He's not going to. When am I going to get a chance to see him again? Unless unless I watch the cards online or I download stuff off torrent sites. How am I going to get a chance to watch them? So this is where I think that Jeff Jarrett's Global Force needs to come in. I think that there needs to be, if there's not a network that's going to carry all of these shows in their entirety, then there needs to be a weekly show. And you know what? Either Jarrett should jump on it or TNA should jump on it, but a weekly magazine show. Give them 2 hours, get some announcers to do the continuity, and just have those agreements with the the different wrestling companies around the world to send a match from each one. So you get to see, hey, here's what's going on this week in Japan. You get a match from Wrestle One. Here's what's going on in Mexico. You get a match from AAA. Something along those lines. Just a weekly magazine show where there's agreements in place to allow them to show one match from each promotion around the world. Because I think people would watch, and I think it's going to give them that alternative and allow a different style of wrestling to get on North American and European television.
Yeah, and I'm just hoping that it takes off. I know Jeff Jarrett's going to be put in Wrestle Kingdom, the biggest event in Japan, and probably the best event in the world, if you ask me. But they're going to be putting that on pay-per-view in the States. So.
But how do you feel about Wrestle Kingdom with JR on commentary?
I don't like JR, but if it's English commentary, that'd be great. It would be great because you get people to see it and all that. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of JR, and I know I'm in the minority of this. But
I like to watch New Japan with the volume turned down, and I make up my own commentary.
There's a guy on Daily Motion that does English commentary over it, and he does like maybe one match every now and then, but he's pretty good at it. Usually people that do the English commentary sound like us, and that's not a compliment. But he's really good at it. All right. What was the next match?
Up next, I think it was Andy Wu and Son of Pantera, and they were taking on Kodama and Kurisha. I'm not going to even attempt the other guy's name. I'm going to let you.
All right. This match, it was so weird. We were like, I just remember how much relaxing it is to be a Japanese wrestling fan. Like, I don't know if we felt obligated to be a TNA fan, or we felt obligated to be an American-style fan. We were going crazy and stupid chants. But as soon as it was all Wrestle One, it might have looked like it died, but it didn't. We were like, it was just like it was a Japanese crowd again. We were studying the matches. It was slow build. It was 2 masked guys versus 2 comedy guys. I really enjoyed this match. I don't know if it comes off on television because at one second we're like, TNA, TNA, we love you, EC3. And next minute, our fucking notepads and be like, nice on bar. I like what you're doing there. Like, it was so funny. Like, when this tag team match happened, it was like, oh yeah, in Japan we don't have to be complete fucking douche nozzles. We can actually just enjoy the product. It was like we were back to ourselves. I don't know if that makes sense, but it was like, yeah, we don't have to be dicks. Let's fucking watch this and enjoy it. I don't know what the American crowd thought of it. Wrestle One is a 5th-tier company. I don't watch it much. You had 2 masked guys versus 2 comedy guys, and it started off, it was a slow build into the excitement. And I enjoyed it, but the whole time I was watching it, I'm like, I bet you the American audience is not going to like this match. And not only that, but they're going to think we didn't like it. And I don't think the Japanese fans did not like it. I just think they were like, oh, like it felt comfortable. You know, it's like you ever be in a country where you're the only fucking foreigner or the only one of that color. You're like, oh, I'm the only fucking purple guy around. And then you see another purple guy, and you're like, oh, fuck, thank God. Hey, purple guy, let's do purple guy stuff together. It had that feeling across the arena. It was like, we don't have to cheer like idiots anymore.
That's a lot different. That's a lot different for me because being an Irish guy in Canada, when I meet another Irish guy in Canada, the first thing is, oh, you're from Ireland? Which part?
Don't you tell me you're from the East Bumble, because I'm from the West Bumble, and the Wolverines always beat the Hedgehogs. All right, one person understood that joke, and they are better than everyone, including myself. Inside jokes that no one understands. Only on Kocosports.
That's how you appeal to the masses. That's how winning is done.
Exactly. I forget who the comedian was, but I think it was a real famous comedian. He's like, you start off and you take people on this journey, and as you're telling the joke and the story, you get less and less laughs. So, like, in the beginning, everyone's laughing. And then at the very end, like the punchline, one guy laughs. And it's like, now that's a joke. All right, let's go to some live comments, shall we? We got 2 now. Look at that. Man, we are rocking. BGC fan said, I heard the pay-per-view sucked. Was it good? I was there live, and I enjoyed it. Jerry watched it on television, and this is how I do it. I'll just do it, BGC fan, real quick. I enjoyed it live. The fans really enjoyed it. It was a fun card. I feel kind of with that $60 price tag. I mean, I had seats so close that you could see me most of the fucking matches, and not all that, but I was basically in the action. That's how fucking close I was, and I paid less than a pay-per-view. I actually think the pay-per-view is good. I think the pay-per-view price sucked. Is that a fair analogy?
I would say that's a fair statement, because the way I saw it was either, you could look at it one or two ways. You could look at it as a very, very good indie show or a kick-ass episode of Impact, but to justify the price, to justify a $60 price tag, that I couldn't do. Like as I said, had it been like a $15 or $20 pay-per-view, definitely I wouldn't have been complaining, and it would have been worth the money. I just think that it was either a really good Impact or it was a kick-ass pay-per-view. I just don't think you can justify the price tag for it, especially considering the limited. I think there was only one title on the line. When it actually came down to it, there was, or at least the world title wasn't on the line. So I mean, there was a lot of stuff missing that you would normally have considered, that given it that big match pay-per-view feel. And I think as well the fact, knowing that it was taped and it was being shown on tape delay, kind of took some of the excitement out of it for a lot of people as well. So I definitely don't think it justified the pay-per-view price tag.
Marcus Rollins says, I give it a strong win. I enjoyed the first 6 matches, but the last two, that's it. But not the last 2 matches. Match of the night was the X Division title match, and the crowd was fun all night. But Tanahashi vs. Styles is going on right now. Whoa, Marcus Rollins. I got that on TiVo, and I told my friends not to text me anything. I have like 4 or 5 friends at the event now. I'm going to do the old claw fingers thing. La 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 la. No spoilers of Tanahashi vs. Styles, because I'm going to be watching that in the middle of the night. That sounded a lot more raunchier than it had to be. I'm going to be watching that in the middle of the night by myself. Alright, boop boop. I'm sorry, just trying to get this to work. YouTube comments. Alright, you know what? Yeah, we had like 4 or 5 YouTube comments. Now we have 1, but 0 are showing up. Way to go. You know what, YouTube?
Thank you very much, YouTube.
Screw you guys. We're going to the Twitter. Now, a lot of this stuff isn't live. Google Plus, I'm going to mispronounce this. I probably apologize in advance. Liang Loon is watching live from Cambodia, so appreciate that. Sportsfan77 on Twitter retweeted us. EM Wrestling liked our videos. We really appreciate it. Wrestling Ranton, he shared my YouTube video of me outside the Tokyo Dome. It says, and yes, Dave does leave his bedroom. All right, I see how it is, Wrestling Ranton. I thought we were homeboys. Looks like at Kocosports got a sweet view of Velvet's entrances. LOL. At ALEC0326 says, at Kocosports. So the TNA camera guy has been giving you a lot of love this far. LOL. Thank you. At Wessie West 3, we'll just call you Wes for short, says, saw you in the crowd. You did have good seats. That's how I fucking roll. That's how I roll. No, I'm just kidding. I'm really lucky. DJ Dells, I hope I pronounced that right. That dude looks familiar. Ha ha ha. Good stuff. Hashtag the Sneaker Addict. Hey, Sneaker Addict. Glad you got to hit us up on Twitter. Sportsfan77 says, wow, Dave, just saw you on Bound for Glory pay-per-view during the EC3 in-ring promo before the match. Well, I love EC3 probably more than a straight man should, and Jerry will tell you that. I'm thinking about stepping down from Kocosports and starting the EC3 fan club. At Valentine's Duca says, hey, now I keep at Kocosports by the entrance getting smirked at by the Ethan Carter TNA. LOL. At K1LLAK19N9. I threw in way too many fucking things. Dude, you got to get a better Twitter handle. We'll just call you Angel. Angel says, Coco, I could have sworn I just saw you. Are you by the ramp? Well, yeah, it wasn't live, but yes, I am by the ramp. I was by the ramp. Are you still by the ramp? I never left. That's why I stayed. Some asshole's trying to give me New Japan spoilers. You know what? You're not cool. EC3 favored our tweet. You know what? I don't give a fuck what anyone says, but EC3, the real EC3, favorites a tweet. He didn't retweet it. Fucking cockhomer. I don't even know what the hell cockhomer means, but for some, dude, to me, when someone favorites your shit, and I do this all the time too. Sometimes I'm a cockhomer, but this is what it is. When you see a tweet and you favorite it but don't retweet it, that's just you being a cockhomer. I've been a cockhomer from time to time. We just made up a word. EC3, you're a cockhomer, but we love you. And, dude, we were on top of the Twitter universe for a little bit. Let me tell you something. I know what it feels to be next to greatness. For a short period of time, according to Twitter, the real Samoa Joe was following us. But he had enough. Like, he only followed us for like 40 minutes. He's like, enough of this shit. So for a moment, Samoa Joe was following us. And you know what?
Perhaps he discovered the magical nature of our site.
He's like, I can't fucking watch this shit. All right. And now Twitter comments are acting up. You know, I just don't think they want us to interact. All right. Boop, boop. SportsFan77 at Marcus New York's 15 says, how did you like it? Well, you know, I'm doing a full show on it right now, pal. And Buccaneers. You know what? I'm not going to read the Buccaneers comments because you know what? Even though I stayed up till 5 o'clock in the morning watching the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, that game didn't exist. I don't even know. What is the National Football League? What is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Why does God hate me? Why, Terry Funk? Why? Sorry, I get emotional about that. All right, I think that's it for live comments. Please give us some more. Oh, we might have a new one. I might just have to go. XX Ray Thompson XX. I watched the first 2 matches. My immediate action was that it looked like a shitty indie show. See, I don't know.
And again,
the crowd was small. And there was over 2,000, and the arena looked like it was illuminated with a child's bedside. All right, let's see what he says. Hold on, they have to actually go to YouTube, and they're probably going to delete his comment. Boop, 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 boop. Here we go. I don't know what's good. Whoa, this is a long. Thank you for such detailed comments, XX Ray Thompson XX. I appreciate it. I didn't expect it would be that long. It's like, do you want more? I'm like, yes, I want more. Like, holy shimoly. All right, let's see what we got here. I watched the first 2 matches. My immediate reaction was it looked like a shitty indie show. The crowd was small. The crowd was over 2,000 paid. That's all that arena fills. And the arena looked like it was illuminated with a child's bedside light. Yeah, but a lot of people shit on the arena. That's a very famous arena for combat sports. Some of the best events in the world go there.
Speaking on the lighting in the arena, based on the photographs that you took, it looked a lot brighter and a lot more well lit than it did on the actual pay-per-view itself.
Well, they also went for the AWA look the last 2 weeks, so I wonder. I didn't watch the pay-per-view, so it's unfair for me to answer. But you know, I've been to the hall a million times, and it's just soaked with history. Every great pro wrestling event has been through there, and if it's about 2,000 people, it's not big, but it's not small. And the thing is, though, the way the arena is set up it depends on the hard cam. On the hard cam, because I know where the hard cam is. On the right is where all the audience is. Around the ring is like a small area, but if you look to the right, that's where 90% of the crowd is. And it fits about 2,000 to 3,000, and it's standing room only. Like I don't know how they shot it, but if you go to the back, there's people that paid to get into that building just to stand. So I don't know. I defend it because it's like the ECW arena. Imagine if the ECW arena and Madison Square Garden came together. That's what that's like for Japan. So you know. And as far as the lighting goes, I thought it was good. I haven't watched the actual show, but yeah, I thought TNA would have made it look more professional. I think it's hard in that building. That building is very, very old. I know a lot of people want a different entrance, and I'm not TNA defending it. I am more. I know this is going to sound bad. I'm more defending that building than I am TNA because it's just such a fucking magical building. Uh,
Well,
gonna get
again, this is what
anything
I'm going to come. I'm
spectacular.
going to come back to this though. I want to come back to this because this is what I hear a lot from a lot of people, and it's their number one complaint about watching non-WWE products. Their number one complaint is that the production is not as slick and not as professional looking as WWE. But I'm going to be real honest. There, with the exception of New Japan and maybe possibly, maybe two of the major and I mean major Mexican promotions. There are very very few pro wrestling companies in the world that can compete with WWE from a production standpoint. But
Yeah,
then what you got to
it's
look at
very
is
very difficult.
what you got to look at then is what do you want to watch? Do you want to watch really really good pro wrestling, or do you want to watch really well produced television? Because at the moment there doesn't seem to be very much of an overlap between those two things. And as I say, there are exceptions. I think that New Japan produces their television exceptionally well. I actually think that AAA does a really good job producing their television. But
Yeah, the
again,
CMLL and AAA are pretty amazing as far as TV production goes.
yeah, I don't think that you're going to find any other North American pro wrestling company that has the production quality of a WWE. Um,
I think
but
New
it's
Japan Dragon Gate has good production qualities. But
yeah,
the
well,
problem is
it's their thing. I mean,
Sometimes Dragon Gate will be in crazy small arenas, especially when they go out into the country. Because the way Japan is, like, there's two major cities and then like a lot of country, and a lot of people are like, oh, it's Tokyo, so Japan is all of Tokyo, and that's not the case. There's some really small towns out there.
yeah, but what I would say to that is if you go back and at WWE's production back when they were back when Vince just took over, back when it was still the WWF. Look at the production back then, and you'll see that it's that smoky arena. There's like a light bulb hanging over the ring. There's no major production involved in it. Um, so I would say that once a company becomes successful, then they'll have that money and they can get into the better. But I mean, you can't really fault because people say it looked like a shitty indie show, but like as I say 2 weeks ago, there was the
WWE.
FWE. Yeah, FWE put on an pay-per-view. Did it look like production-wise a shitty indie show? Well, I mean, in terms of the lighting, maybe wasn't great and the arena didn't look very nice, but on the other hand, they did a really good job at all their cuts. They did a really good job with their camera work. They had some technical difficulties with the audio, but beyond that, they did a really good job at actually showing you what was going on in the ring. Now, did it look slick? Did it look fancy? Did it look like there were millions of dollars involved? No, it didn't. But what they did was they put on a show that, that aside, it was watchable and it, was entertaining from start to finish, which I would say is, more than WWE has done with Raw in a long, long time because they've been putting on some shows that are crisp, clear, smooth. Everything is perfect. It's shiny. It's fancy. It's got tons of graphics. It's got all the music. It's got everything. Celebrities, everything you can imagine. But the one thing that they aren't doing is putting on an entertaining pro wrestling product. And I'm not going to disparage everybody because there are good matches that pop up here and there. But take any WWE Raw from the past 3 months and put it up against that FWE show. On a if you look at it on a top to bottom basis, watching the card right through, the FWE show will blow everything out of the water.
Yeah. All right, let me just continue on because this is a long comment. But then again, this was in many ways the most committed I've been to watching the TNA product. Yeah, TNA has been really cutting back on production and everything just because they're trying to get ready for a move. I noticed a couple weeks ago they went to more of an AWA format where it's more grainy and game. So I think they're just trying to be a little bit different. I don't know if it's good or bad, but man, I was thinking people like Ray Thompson, and I'm not picking on you. We and Jerry, we made a lot of money off Combat TV. Dude, we couldn't make no money today in Combat TV. What was it, about 10, 20 years ago? Man, we're
Yeah.
old. But about 10, 20 years ago, we sold content. Combat TV could not survive today. Not at all. So I have no idea if this is the fact commonplace with the company. No. Yes and no. For the last 3 weeks, yeah. On the wrestler front, I have to say I wasn't too impressed either. The first match was okay, in my opinion. See, that the first match was the weakest live, but I guess because of just the way it was. Featured a lot of great athleticism and psychology and pacing of the match. Was all over the place. Maybe I'm too sorry, I need glasses. Accustomed to the WWE style, and that's a possibility. The second match began with a bad promo delivered by one Derek Bateman. Ray Thompson, you can make fun of my beloved Hall. You can make fun of TNA. When you make fun of my beloved EC3, you've gone too far. Didn't care about what he was saying. I think he was flustered by him not getting heel heat. I don't know. Do you feel that way? Like he had to like he would basically be like, I am gonna beat a child, and we're like, we still love you. So I don't think he was prepared for that. And also, I think it was a big mistake not sending Hama out. But we already talked about that.
The last thing that I can compare it to for a WWE fan is or the one I remember, just because I know him was Sheamus going out in Boston, and he was going out. This was back when he was working as a heel, and he walks out in Boston, and of course, huge Irish population. They're going to get behind him. They start cheering him when he comes to the ring, and he gets in the ring and he says, I don't know what all you people are cheering for. He said, because you think that you're like me. Well, you're not. You're just a bunch of plastic patties, and I'm a real Irishman. And he looks like waiting for the booze to come, and the crowd's like, yeah, you're right, we're just plastic patties. And he kept on cheering. So, it happens everywhere.
Yeah, yeah. When I saw who his opponent was, I rolled my eyes. And that's sad. It's just, I don't know. I think people are just so used to the WWE product. I think they want, like, we opened the show with this. I think people want an alternative to make WWE better. But if an alternative does come, let's just make fun of it.
Well,
I don't
again,
know if that's the case with
I got
him,
to say
but
something here. I got to say something. The reason for that, and I don't want to insult the commenter, but the reason for that is lack of knowledge about other products. And what I mean by that, not just other pro wrestling products, but other sports in general. I mean, one of the biggest things. This comes back when I saw who his opponent was. I rolled my eyes. Well, you rolled your eyes because you went, well, it's a big fat guy. What's he going to be able to do? And I mean, if you watch professional sumo wrestling, if you watch Nihon Sumo Kaikai, the Japan Sumo Association, and Dave's probably making fun of me for butchering the pronunciation of Japanese words, but if you watch sumo and you actually get into it and you understand the nuances of sumo, you'll see, not first of all, not all sumo wrestlers are big fat guys, but you'll see guys who are, and they are extremely good, superb athletes. If that, they may look fat, but there's so much training that goes on. There's so much strength, so much power. If you saw the rigorous training that they do on a daily basis, you would understand the nature of what great athletes they are. So just because someone doesn't have that cookie cutter look, like they came out of NXT, they came out of WWE's training facility where they're, I don't know what they got, like a plasticine mold where they're pouring in a solution and bringing a pro wrestler out of there, and they all look like they're GI Joe action figures. They all look like they're chiseled. Not everyone's going to look like that, and not every professional athlete or combat sports athlete is going to look like that. And that goes for sumo wrestling, that goes for amateur wrestling, that goes for mixed martial arts out there that
I
don't
fucking
have
hate
that
when
cookie cutter look.
I need
And
I Go ahead.
Sorry, go right ahead, Dave.
No, I'm just going to finish. I knew what kind of match I was going to see, and with this being the TNA version of WrestleMania, I was expecting something more from the great EC3. You know what, Robson? You can make fun of TNA, but you can't take fun of my man crush EC3. But it was at this point I turned the stream off and saw you guys doing a live stream. Already the stream is more entertainment. Thank you, Kocosports. Thank you, Ray Thompson. And know what? I hope, it. I know what I don't like about YouTube. Ray Thompson, I hope, you're not mad that we go back and forth. That's what it should be about. Like, oh, you break down a comment and then, people just go away forever. So I'm glad. I'm glad there's disagreements. From what I saw, the show was a loss. All right. So he said
all
loss.
I'm going to say.
Let's see.
All I'm going to say. If anyone thought the show was a loss, I'm going to say this. For a month, for maybe a month or a month and a half, do this. Stop watching the WWE product for the next month and a half, and
but not our Monday Night Raw review in a couple hours.
Well, yeah, you don't need to watch it because we watch it, so you don't have to. But stop watching the WWE product for a month and a half, and instead of watching their product when WWE is on, go online and find another product, whether it's New Japan, whether it's AAA, whether it's CMLL, whether it's FWE or whether it's any of the Irish, British promotions, European, I don't care. Find other products from other locations. And every time there's a WWE show on, watch that other product instead. Do it for a month and then go back to watching WWE's product. And I think at that point in time, your opinion of the WWE product will change, because after watching the other promotions and giving them time, give them that month so that you can get into it and understand their style, you're going to find that they're way more entertaining than what WWE is producing. With the exception of NXT.
Yeah, NXT pretty good. Vincent is Valentine says, different strokes for different folks, but I, for one, enjoyed this show. All right, and this is a thing where everyone can hit. If this was their WrestleMania, they should be ashamed. Ty, Mr. the King. Mr. the King, I saw you, Coco. I think you was by the ramp. I saw a guy with a hat and curly hair. Yep, that was me. Vincent Valentine says, I also felt the same way after seeing Funaki the first time in All Japan Pro Wrestling Wrestle 1. But after looking up the history of Pancras, I grew to respect, admire, and even... Boom! YouTube, I love you, but I'm not going to lie to you. I want to punch you right in the dick. Alright, there you are. Alright, let's see. I also felt the same way about Funaki the first time in Wrestle 1, but after looking up his history of Pancras, I grew to respect, admire, and even count on the guy as one of my top Japanese wrestling favorites. Alright, there you go. Thank you for the comments. We will go back to live comments, but we have to get back on track. What's the next match?
Next, and I think this was, in my opinion, the worst match of the night. It was Jessica Havok and Velvet Sky.
Yeah, they made a huge mistake. This. And I pre-warned you. Didn't I pre-warn you all month? Japan has some of the best female wrestlers in the world. You can't go out there and half-ass it. They did not give a shit about this match tremendously. And I think this was a bad match, but the reaction of the crowd after being hot all night made it a million times more awkward. I think the girls were breaking down. That's what it looked like to me. But you heard, I was surrounded by a couple women, and you heard, they're an embarrassment to women. All they have is tits. This is what women's wrestling. Group in the world. You know what I'm saying? And I'm saying men and women. A lot of people are like, well, that sucks that men are fucking being mean to women. No, these comments were coming from women and men. Like, they were in agreement. Like, feminists, you would be happy. Men and women were agreeing. And what did they agree? These fucking set of tits were not good at wrestling. All 4 sets. Would that be 2 sets? These 2 sets of tits. Tits everywhere. That's all people talked about.
Here's what I gotta say about this. I kind of lost interest in the match shortly after it started. This was off all 4 turnbuckles and hits a double axe handle while Havok sort of awkwardly stumbles around the ring to allow herself to be hit. From that point forward, I lost all interest in the match. It just wasn't put together very well. And this is the thing. I'm not going to say that she's not that Velvet Sky is not a good professional wrestler. By North American standards, she's not a bad female wrestler.
Japan has higher standards for women's wrestling. Period.
Yeah, but by Japanese standards, not in any way, shape, or form is she a good pro wrestler.
It made? But live, they looked absolutely rattled. Like, it went from the hottest crowd in the world to, what the fuck is this shit? This is what you bring into our country?
Even with the editing, they really couldn't do anything to fix that. There was nothing good that I have to say about that.
It ends in a bear hug tap out, which is kind of a cool thing, but no one gave a shit.
And it went on too long.
Because I know there's going to get 1 or 2 female fans because they secretly. This is the thing about feminism. They'll secretly send you messages to complain. And I know you're going to send me emails and complain. And I'm cool with it. Hey, if I say something, I'm going to stick up to it. But I want you to know that every woman and man were all saying the same thing. This was not a sexist situation at all. I know a lot of people are going to spin it that way. But no, the women around me were just like, this is fucking embarrassing. This is embarrassing.
The match should have been shorter.
This is what my wife said. She's like, oh, they have tits and the one has a nice ass. That's it. That's it.
Wait. Is this the same person? Is this the same person who took the photograph of her ass?
Possibility.
Because if that's the case, you're going to need to have a talk with your wife about Velvet Sky's ass.
Yeah. It was it was bad. It was absolutely horrible. I didn't want it to be horrible, but it was.
What it should have been was a short squash match. That Havok should have come in and basically walked right through Velvet Sky. If they had kept that thing as short as they possibly could and just had her completely destroy her, give her virtually no offense at all, they could have got away with having Velvet Sky there, because Velvet Sky was there for a reason. She's there because she has a certain look. She's there because the fans are going to want to meet her.
But they don't give a fuck about that. Like, they have the, well, if you're in porn, you're in porn. Can you fucking wrestle? And I think she's a better wrestler than she put on, but I think she felt what 2,000 judgmental eyes were. And Jerry, you know about this. I've been trying to fucking do podcasts all the time. Didn't I warn you about this? I warned everyone. I'm like, dude, this could be a fucking train wreck. That's what it was. It was a train wreck. You out great fun. You know what it is? And this is going to be politically correct, but I'm going to say it the way it's truth. It's fact. In America, if you're good looking, you don't have to be able to wrestle. In Japan, they're not going to give a shit. Like, no, you have to fucking bring it. And not only that, but there's a lot of women wrestling fans that are proud that the women sometimes steal the show. They are proud that the women will fucking whoop ass. They were like, and they were willing to give it a try. They were. They're like, oh, let's see what the women have. Oh, the champion. And you just fucking hear them fucking dying inside. You know what I'm saying? It was bad. It was really bad. Yikes, that's a lot of tits, LOL, from Vincent S. Valentine. That's what they were talking about. Like, and it got so bad because, like, my friend, like, because he was sitting in General Mission. I'm a good friend. Like, hey, here's the free tickets. Go sit in General Missions, asshole. He sent me a text message going, yo, bro, are you fucking for real? Like, the Japanese version of that. He's like, this is what the fuck you bring into our country? It was very disappointing. As a women wrestling fan and just as an American, it was embarrassing. What's his name? I think Brandon. I forget who the negative guy was. I apologize. Ray Thompson. Ray Thompson was a bit negative. Dude, you had 2,000 plus people just fucking beyond negative for that. And I warned them. Jerry, you listen to our podcast. How often did I warn them that, dude, you got to bring it. The women have to bring it. If the women don't bring it, it's not going to be a pretty sight. And it was not a pretty sight. I don't know how ugly it was on television, but live, it was beyond ugly.
It was bad on television, and I imagine it was probably, I don't know whether it was worse live or not. Perhaps the fact that there were commentators and they were able to distract you and talk about other things. Maybe that took the edge off it a little bit on television, but it still wasn't good.
All right. What's the next match? Sorry we had to get past that one. We just had to get past it. Please keep your live comments coming. We'll try to read them. I know it's a crazy time we're going against New Japan right now. No spoilers, please. Blah, 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 blah.
Up next, we got Team 3D versus Abyss and Tommy Dreamer.
I don't know if this got caught on television. This is exactly how this went down. You ready? Here comes Tommy Dreamer.
Dressed like Terry Funk.
Yeah. Here comes Tommy Dreamer. EC Dub, EC Dub, EC Dub. Okay? Here comes Abyss. Cricket, cricket, cricket. Here comes Team 3D. Team 3D, Team 3D. And that's how it was. There was one guy that no one respected. There was one guy in this match that did not belong. And it got so bad that when, like, Abyss was leaving, like, 3 or 4 guys were, like, in Japanese, said, let's root for him because no one else is. And he got, like, 3 or 4 pity. Abyss, Abyss, Abyss. But I don't know if Abyss knows Japanese, but I do. And they're like, oh, that sucks. No one rooted for him. All right, let's give him a chant. So at least Abyss got 3 men to chant his name. But yeah, and one part was, he did the thumbnails, and dude, someone was like, oh, it's your own demise. You're gonna fall into thumbtacks. You always fucking do. And like 2 seconds later, he fell into thumbtacks. The Dudleys were very over. Tommy Dreamer was very over. I kid you not, a large majority of the audience thought he was Kane. Like, Kane wrestles in TNA? Who's Kane? You know what I mean? And I don't know, because they're on G+. Abyss has been here. I think he's wrestled in Japan before. But it was as bad. The women's match was definitely the worst. But, like, it got to the point where people missed pity cheers.
Well, I think that there may have been some fans there that weren't even aware of what TNA was. They just saw a cheap wrestling show in Tokyo and decided to go to it. I think that maybe is what happened because, it's that I could see that happening there because, as you said before, they didn't really advertise it as TNA Bound for Glory. They advertised it as a Wrestle One show.
Yeah.
So I would imagine that we maybe had people there who didn't really even know what they were going to. And believe it or not, I've actually been to events, both wrestling events and concerts, where I actually remember going to a concert where, as I was walking in, they said the woman in front of me was like, so who is this guy? Who is this guy again that's playing? And we're like, we had sort of gone out of our way to get tickets to this guy's concert. And she's like, who is this guy? And they said, oh, it's, this is who it is. She's like, oh, I'm not familiar with his music. And I'm thinking, what the hell are you doing here? Why would you, the tickets to the concert were expensive. Why would you spend that much money on tickets to a concert for
Yeah,
someone you
well,
didn't know who it was?
the problem is everyone in this match wanted to root for ECW. Remember ECW? There was a lot of ECW T-shirts, a lot of Dudley T-shirts, and they wanted Philadelphia. They wanted it in Tokyo. They just wanted an ECW match, and no one. I don't even, they might have known who Abyss was, but they were not respectful to Abyss, and they were respectful to everybody else.
What do you think of the match itself?
I thought it was I don't know, it was just a hardcore match. I mean, it was, and I don't mean that as an insult, like, oh, I hate hardcore wrestling. To me, it was the ultimate generic hardcore match. Like 2 parts chair, 1 part kendo stick, throwing some thumb. I just thought it was hard.
I was okay with everything in the match, mainly because we haven't had a whole lot of hardcore matches from people who know how to do hardcore matches in quite a while. I mean, the closest thing, obviously, on Impact was the Full Metal Mayhem, which was really good. But again, coming from me, who watches a lot more WWE than I do TNA, not having seen a lot of those style of matches in quite a long time, I thought it was an entertaining match. The only thing I would pick as a major fault with it was I didn't think there was any huge benefit in the thumbtack spot. It just sort of seemed like it was there to be there because you knew Abyss, like as you said, everyone knew Abyss was going to fall in the thumbtacks. And also, in terms of falling in thumbtacks, now, I've wrestled. I've never fallen in thumbtacks, but I would imagine that it's not fun. I've fallen on other sharp objects. I've fallen through objects that have shattered, and they've been pretty sharp.
Well, according to my Japanese friend, he said he made eye contact with Abyss. Okay, my friend's a bit crazy. But he said he made eye contact with Abyss when he was diving into the thumbtacks, and he said in his soul he didn't want to do it.
Yeah, I was about to say, I would imagine, that you're taking a back bump into the thumbtacks, it's going to be a lot easier. Plus, he wears the shirt, so it's going to cover him up a little bit. But what the purpose was in taking a face bump into the thumbtacks, and you got, I don't understand what that is. Because first of all, it is definitely going to hurt a lot more in the soft tissue around your forearms and your hands. Definitely, it's going to hurt a lot more. But the only thing really that I can think of is they're going, oh, well, we'll do it for shock value. But I mean, if
but that's the same arena that has Big Japan.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. They have Big Japan Wrestling, so they're used to seeing the fluorescent light tubes and all that sort of stuff. I don't think that Abyss getting some thumbtacks in his hands is going to be that big of a shock. And even to the US fans, if it is a shock, it serves no purpose because it was at the end of the match. So, and I just don't see it serving a huge purpose to anything. It doesn't further the storyline. It's being hardcore for the sake of being hardcore.
I felt Abyss was playing the role of Charlie Brown. You guys don't like me now, but wait till I can go face first in the thumbtacks. And he's like, you guys still don't like me? I just felt like he played the part of Charlie Brown. People wanted to remember the great days of ECW, and Abyss just crashed that party. That's what it felt like. All right, let's go to some live comments. Mr. the King, every match was trash to me. I have to be honest. The only match I enjoyed was the X Division. Of course, they have good matches that time. That 1% is when it isn't an X Division wrestling. 4 new messages. Bam. I like to clarify my earlier comments. When I said I rolled my eyes when I saw C3's opponent after the arena, I wasn't in any way. Oh, okay, hold on. I apologize. Oh, we got a thumbs down. Like, what were you expecting? Come on. What you break my heart. Usually the live audience, we never get a thumbs down. That's my first thumbs down in a while. It hurts. Alright. Boom. XXX Ray Thompson says, I'm gonna read this a little bit faster because we got to go through it. So I'm not gonna break down every sentence like I did last time. I'd like to clarify on my earlier comment. When I said I rolled my eyes when I saw E3's opponent after the arena, it wasn't in any way to disrespect his physical abilities. I'm completely aware of that he's a great athlete. I have a friend who watches sumo wrestling on occasion. I was upset that the next match was going to be a stereotypical big man match where the slower big man is the face. I'm just not a fan of that kind of match. Thus, my eyes roll. As you suggested for me to watch more indie wrestling to refrain from watching WWE, I'll say that I have watched indie wrestling on occasion, but I can't get into it for the same reason I don't like the TNA show today. There is an oversaturation of high-impact wrestling moves with little to no psychology, no pacing, just moves.
But I've got a quick response to that, and hopefully he will give us a response. Um, let me ask you something. If you could watch indie wrestling on a more consistent basis, would you? Because that's one of the things that I see as being a problem right now. Is it's impossible or almost impossible to follow some of the other products. WWE makes it very easy to follow their product. They make it very accessible on multiple television channels. It's accessible through WWE's network. Even if you don't have cable, just with YouTube alone, sometimes with the clips from Raw, it's very easy to follow the WWE product from week to week and know what's going on. But what I find is with a lot of the indie promotions, and even with TNA, if you look at TNA's website right now, as of right now, they still don't have the results of Bound for Glory up. So I find that a lot of other promotions make it difficult to follow their product because they don't offer it in a consistent way on a regular basis. Some indies do upload their product to the internet, but they don't always upload it in the same day, or they'll upload it 1 week and then go 3 weeks without uploading it, and then upload it next week. So if there was an indie product available on a weekly basis that was consistent, that you knew every week on a Tuesday at this time you could watch it, would you?
Yeah. Athletic moves, yes. Impressive moves, yes. But it will amount to little more than a stunt show to me. Ultimately burns out the crowd. I guess that's just different views of wrestling. Because, like, what you're describing to me, like, I don't know. What burns out the crowd at this event was the women's match.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna just jump
I
in
just
again.
I just disagree with the statement, but I think it's different because to me, I ran indie shows, and when I hear there's no psychology, no pacing, just moves, it's always some fucking fat, out of shape indie wrestler who can't fucking keep up. It's always some fucking old guy who can't keep up. And maybe it's like hockey, I can't watch the sport because of following the puck, or I don't know. Like, I like pro res, I like Dragon Gate, I like lucha, and yeah, just athletic ability.
But also here's something that I'm going to say. If you talk about you're trying to watch indie shows and it's hard to follow and it's all high spots, one of the things as well, aside from that, is um, there's again you're not watching it on a weekly basis, so you're not following a storyline. So the match itself
Well,
has
hold
to
on.
be.
In Ray Thomason's defense, a lot of indies don't have storylines. So there
Yeah,
are a group of indies that just suck balls at storylines.
yeah, but and on top of that, here's one of the problems that I find is that you're watching without commentary as well. So they have to. They're basically when you watch WWE, they're telling the story in the ring within the match, but they've got a lot more tools to tell it with because they have commentators who you can listen to who are telling you things to advance the story, even if what they're doing in the ring isn't particularly advancing it. When you're watching most indies, majority of the stuff you're going to watch, not all of it, but the majority comes without commentary, so that can be detrimental to it as well. And speaking of that, I'm just going to tell you about a show that I wrestled on once. Um, and this was an ASW was the promoter of the promotion. Um, they had a show where they decided it would be a good idea to do live commentary. It wasn't being broadcast. It wasn't being filmed. It was just for the crowd. So the promoter and his buddy got on microphones. They got on the PA system and started commentating on the match. The problem with them commentating on the match on the PA system was that I'm hanging over the second rope. Now, the guy is getting ready to come behind me. My opponent is getting ready to launch himself and throw his leg across my back, and going to do like the old big boss man move. So he's getting ready to come and run at me, and they can clearly see. People can clearly see that I'm not unconscious. I'm just waiting for something to happen. And what's stupid is that I have to act like I can't hear the commentary. Like everyone else, because it's over the PA system, can hear the commentary. They're like, "Oh, he's behind him, and he doesn't see he's coming." Like, I gotta pretend that I can't hear it. So, like, again, some indies, depending on how they do their commentary isn't always a great thing. But I think that, a lot of the stuff you have to factor in is that you're judging something based on production values of a big company who can use other things to advance their storylines and to keep your interest. A lot of the indies you're watching, you're just watching a show where
Yeah, but
two guys in the ring and they have to be good at telling the story.
A lot of indie. I prefer no commentary or good commentary. I don't want in between commentary. And I think Denver, Colorado does a good job. The man, not the place. And Lenny Leonard. I think those two guys do a great job. If your name's not Lenny Leonard, and well, of course Ring of Honor and down, I don't know. I don't find it.
What about Carl Carlson?
What's that?
What about Carl Carlson?
Shit. That being said, I'm sure that there's great indie wrestling out there, just not enough to entice me. And maybe you're just a sports entertainment fan. Maybe you're a WWE fan. That's okay. I'm just in no way saying that WWE is amazing either. Well, I guess I was wrong about that. I'm just a fan of good psychology and decent pacing. WWE offers more than other places I've seen. I guess, good psychology and pacing, it really is just a matter of opinion. Because I've been around wrestling long enough where I hear good psychology and pacing. Like, here's an example. If you think Randy Orton's good at psychology and pacing, we will never see eye to eye. Ever. Ever in a million years. Like, sometimes you can come in a middle ground, like, okay, HBK, he slows down at this point. Oh, Triple H, he's building him a match. But this is where I draw the line. If you say Randy Orton is a good professional wrestler at psychology and pacing, I can safely say, in my heart of hearts, we'll never agree on what good wrestling is. All right. Mr. the King, Coco, let's just pretend that Slammiversary's WrestleMania because TNA does way better than this. LOL. Vincent is Valentine. The women's match wasn't even supposed to happen and definitely got greenlit due to the online fan response. Yeah, but a lot of those online fan polls are bullshit. But yeah, I really feel a knockout versus Yoshi match would have been better. Yeah, Gail Kim. Gail Kim, and I'm not the only one saying this, and I'm glad. Because I do have a little bit of a crush on Gail Kim. But I think there's Gail Kim and the rest of the women wrestlers. I really think there's like that big of a gap now. I don't even think it's close. You know what I mean? And the fact that she's injured, I don't know. Vincent's Valentine.
I just want to say something. You have the most bizarre crushes because it goes from Gail Kim to Awesome Kong, and I can't think of two people any more different in terms of women. So you just like all women?
It's safe to say, especially if they can wrestle. You can wrestle. That's why I married my wife. We were at a bar, and so we said, "You want to wrestle?" My wife's like, "I handle this." She got him in a Boston Crab, and I said, "I do." Vincent is Valentine says, in my view, Abyss was given a spot due to his company loyalty and the fact that he was the only one available and willing enough to play human pincushion / crash test him. Yeah, I just
That's
feel
not
bad
true.
for
You were
Abyss.
there.
Abyss was a guy who, like... What's that?
That is not true. You were there. You were there in the crowd. You would have filled in.
So,
I know that you would have filled in for Abyss.
That a possibility. Well, a lot of my friends think me and Abyss have the same hair. So they think that I was Abyss. That was the ongoing joke. They're like, did they just pay Dave to be a fat ass and fucking wrestle in this match? And I was like, no, I was ringside. And she's like, that's what they want you to think. All right.
No, because I've seen Abyss and he cleans up real nice in a suit.
So what are you trying to say? I don't. All right, we got to really recap this because it's getting late here.
All right, well, let's wrap it up. We got the final match: the Great Muta and Yoshihiro Tajiri versus the Great Sanada and James Storm.
This was just a pure respect match. Sanada really got heat. People bought into that fucking storyline. I thought it was the dumbest fucking storyline ever. They're like, how could you trade on fucking Muta? Because, you know, Muta is a god here. Muta is 900 billion years old, and he's loved, and Tajiri's loved. But the storyline of Sanada betraying Muta, I was like, you know, this is a bad storyline, and all the Japanese people were like, how could he trade on Muta? I was like, all right. I guess I'm the only one. Yeah, fuck him, right? So they bought into it.
I seriously got to ask, how old is Muta?
I asked him. We were at a barbershop. Me and Muta were at a barbershop. And I said, Muta, just between you and me, I'm not going to tell anyone. How old are you? And he said 947. 947 years old. Now, I think, well, he's 30 years, so he has to be over 50. Because November 1st is his 30th year in pro wrestling. Matt Hardy's going to be there. How what a shitty present
that would make Muta 1,043 years younger than Doctor Who.
Exactly. Muta's old. But
for his age, he's in such amazing shape. Because I mean, this is why I brought it up. Was just if you look at North American pro wrestlers who worked a much safer style than the great Muta, but they've been around for as many years. I mean, you take a look at Hulk Hogan, take a look at a lot of the North American wrestlers that are around, I'm assuming are around Muta's age or thereabouts, and look at the shape that they're in, look at, the joint problems that they're having, look at the physical problems that they're having, and then look at Muta, and look how he can still go. I just think it's phenomenal that he can do that, and more props to him.
Alright. Yeah, Muta is absolutely amazing. I love this match, but the thing is, I hope editing saved this. At the very end, Muta wins, of course, because Muta is like Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair. He's really a big star, and people were in that building to see Muta. You know what I mean? It's just he has that kind of pull. And after the match is over, Muta and Tajiri are talking, and James Storm is supposed to run in. I don't know what it was on the pay-per-view. That was an awkward 5 minutes. My wife is like, is Tajiri and Muta gay? I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, they're just sitting in the ring hugging each other. Dude, they like gave each other a hug because they were waiting for James back, but James Storm forgot. So, like, it was, I think Muta and Tajiri have an announcement. And the referee comes up, and he's like, Storm, you're supposed to be attacking them. And then Storm just pops up from selling and attacks him. And I don't know, was there there was an awkward long time at live. Did they edit that up nice?
That must have been edited on the pay-per-view because I did not see any
you couldn't have missed it, dude. It was like, there was 5 minutes of Tajiri and Muta hugging. They're like, and Muta, he's old school. So Tajiri's like, I don't think he's coming. Muta's like, just hug it tight, bring it in, he'll come. So, like, people started questioning, like, is Tajiri and Muta, a thing now? But yeah, then they came down, and then the Dudleys came, and, the Dudleys made the save, pay-per-view went off the air. And with that said, before they had a Bullet Club shirt and they ripped it, the Dudleys were really over, except I don't think they realized how much people love the Bullet Club. Because they're like, 3D, Team 3D, and they're like, they see this shirt? And it was like a Bullet Club shirt, and people were like, yeah, it's Bullet Club. What the fuck you doing? You know what I mean? They were like that. And then they were like, well, I'm going to fucking challenge the Bullet Club, and we're going to beat everyone. And it was awkward. It was like, we really want to like you, but you're going to attack the Bullet Club? You know what I mean? Like, because the Bullet Club, it was so popular, and they said they're going to put each member of the Bullet Club in a table, and it was weird because they had heat, like Team 3D, and they were happy, but then they said they're going to attack the Bullet Club, and it was kind of like, I don't know if I like you anymore. Like, it was one of those, and the heat died down bad, but it got everyone talking. And it was so funny because I don't know if this is on the pay-per-view, and they were like, I think they were trying to get the thank you 3D, like the thank you Joe happened. And he's like, we only got 2 words for you. And I kid you not, like 20 people were like, "Is he gonna say New Japan?" And he said, "Thank you," and they're like, "That's not New Japan." So, and not only that, but there was another segment that the Dudleys were doing, and they were cutting a promo. It was pretty funny. They were like, and I said, "What's the best wrestling city in the world?" And he goes, "Tokyo." And a bunch of fans were like, "You lie! You said the same thing about Philadelphia." So that part was awkward. But yeah, overall, I thought it was pretty fun show. It's getting mixed reviews here. A lot of people say it's absolutely awesome, absolutely sucks. One thing, there was two cameramen. This is just off the, only on the review show. There was two cameramen, and there was our side of the ring and the other side of the ring, and they were like fucking screaming at each other. And Borash is like, "Dude, we're on pay-per-view." I know it was during a commercial, but he was like, "You fucking come on my side again!" And we were started chatting. We're like, "Kick his ass!" Fucking camera guy. Anyway, I'm gonna go to some live comments real quick. Boom, I am Mikey. Mike Ashman says TNA did not air the segment where Team 3D threatened New Japan Pro Wrestling's Bullet Club during Bound for Glory tonight. That sucks. When Team 3D's TNA contract expired, it appears they would just be working an angle for themselves, as noted. They believe they will be working for New Japan next, or possibly Jeff Jarrett's Global Force Wrestling. Yeah, that's a possibility. I mean, I haven't heard anything from the companies, but everyone thinks that they're going to be leaving. I mean, I think their contract is up. I think they weren't even supposed to be at this, but they put them in the Hall of Fame. They came for the Hall of Fame. They also did this last show. It was very Dudley strong, but at the end of the day, it was hinted it was going to happen at New Japan. It was hinted that it was going to happen at the Bullet Club. And it was just kind of awkward because, like, we were like, "We love you, Team 3D," and like, "What about these guys, the Bullet Club?" And we're like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa! What do you mean the Bullet Club? They're cool too." So, but it got a lot of people talking, and after people leaving, they were like, "Oh, well, TNA and New Japan work together," which probably won't happen. Or Dudley's going to New Japan, which is probably more the case. But it killed their heat, and it really felt awkward. But it got everyone talking. So I guess in some ways, if you're going to kill the heat, have people talk. You know what I mean? But yeah, like I think the Dudleys didn't think that Bullet Club was as popular as they were. Because it was like, Team 3D! And then it was funny too, because he's like, "You know this shirt?" And it was Bullet Club, and they're like, "Yeah! You're going to join the Bullet Club? Yeah! Dudley's Bullet Club!" And he's like, "I'm going to put everyone through a table." Like, whoa, you're going to do that to our heroes? What? Don't do that. We like Bullet Club. Like, it was definitely awkward, but it got people talking, so I guess it's okay. And X-Ray Thomas says, "Has anyone really been far, even has decided to use, even go want to look more like?" Did I say that? Did I stutter? Is he mocking me, or did he mistype stuff?
Can you read that again?
All right. Because sometimes I have a stutter because I get punched in the head a lot, or is he just typed it up? Has anyone really been far, even has decided to use, even go want to do, look more like? Question mark.
I don't know, but
I mean, is he making fun of me? Did I stutter during that part? Because sometimes I stutter. I apologize if I stutter.
No, I don't think you did.
Because I think
it kind of sounds like one of those comments we get on the site when people are trying to, they're trying to advertise something, so they're just typing any word.
Yeah.
So they can get their link in.
I'll rephrase what I was trying to say, just in case I did stutter, because I'm former military and I have concussion problems, so every now and then I stutter, so I apologize. But if I did stutter, I think if you like Randy Orton and you think he's a good wrestler and you think he has, psychology and a good pace, me and you will probably never see eye to eye on what good wrestling is. All right. I hope that was a lot more clear.
And,
I don't know if he's
just FYI, if you want to see what really good ring psychology is, in my opinion, go back and watch some of the Jake Roberts matches.
Yes, I was about to say the same thing.
Yeah, and Jake Roberts, from when he just started with WWF and just prior to him starting with the WWF, a lot of the matches around that time with Jake Roberts are amazing. That's what I call psychology.
All right, and I am Mikey says, "What matches would you book that would take it Bound for Glory to the next level?" I just would have I think they had a good impact for this and after this. I haven't watched this, but they have Bobby Roode versus Bobby Lashley rematch. I think Bobby Roode. I don't think it was bad. I just think they didn't bring their best foot forward. I honestly believe that. I think the guys that came tried their best, but I don't think they put their best foot forward. I would have had the Full Metal Mayhem match on the pay-per-view. I'd have Bobby Roode versus Bobby Lashley on the pay-per-view. I would have Havok versus Gail Kim. I just think the order, like, it just seems, and I enjoyed the pay-per-view, but I was there live and had a lot of fun, so there is a point to it. But to me, I went in very angry because they didn't put their best foot forward card down wise. Full Metal Mayhem should have happened in your biggest card of the year. Bobby Lashley versus Bobby Roode should have happened at your biggest card of the year. Gail Kim versus Havok should have happened. So I don't think it's a matter of, hey man, what's the best dream card possible? I don't think it's that situation. I just think it was you spread out all your best matches on free television, and then you pay $60 for. I thought it was a decent show, but like I said, I paid less than $60 and I was ringside. So paying less than $60 to be ringside is a lot different than paying $60 to watch it legally on pay-per-view. There's just totally different ballparks here.
Well, there's two things as well that I would have done. One is I would have changed the match order because I thought the match
Hama definitely should have came out first. I think that would have helped EC3 a lot.
Yeah, he should. Although that match I would have changed entirely, but the women's match again, I'm a big believer in you basically you got a semi-main event, you got a main event, and I think you need when the crowd gets hot for the semi-main event, I think you should have had your women's match then to give them that little bit of cool down time again, so that they're not burned out. Because if you talk about fans being burned out, I think having the hardcore match and then having the main event, back to back, I think there should have been a bumper or something to separate those. And so far as the Hama versus EC3 match, I would have actually scrubbed that completely, and I would have had Rockstar Spud versus Dave Kocotas for an EC3 on my pole match.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
All right. Nothing like an EC3 gay Dave joke to friggin' to fucking. All right, and Gail Kim should have been added to the knockout match. I don't think Velvet Sky should have been there. I think it should have been Gail Kim versus Havok or Gail Kim versus somebody. Hell, Gail Kim had to be there. She would have been the best wrestler. So, a lot of people, I don't know. I think it was a really good show to pay $60 to be ringside to. I thought it was a really good show for Wrestle 1 and TNA. But when you have Full Metal Mayhem the week before and a title match after, and and not only that, but I would have changed. I know it was the best match of the night, the X Division, but I would definitely have one of the Wolves versus somebody. The Wolves are kind of over in Japan because of all their time in Pro Wrestling Noah. I know one of them's hurt, but even if one of them wasn't hurt, I would have had at least one of them come in. I don't know. I just think they're so worried about their TV deal that they said, oh, you know what, fuck this. And I think, the most negative thing I can say about them, I think it's bullshit to say it's your biggest pay-per-view of the year. Advertise Bobby Lashley's going to be there. Advertise that Bobby Roode's going to be there. Both of them not there. You promised us 2 Bobbies and a title. You gave us 0 Bobbies and well, you gave us other titles, but not the main title. So I think that's the biggest letdown. But I was mentioning about that.
And one other problem that I saw with this, and this is an overall, it's not anything centric on this card, but just overall with TNA, with their inconsistencies, is they made such a big deal about, hey, we're bringing back the 6-sided ring, we're bringing back the 6-sided ring, we're bringing back the 6-sided ring. Then they go overseas and they can't even be bothered to ship a ring or rent a 6-sided ring in Japan. They use the Wrestle One ring with the Wrestle One logo in the center, and it's like, this is supposedly your biggest show of the year, and you're like, you made a big deal about bringing back the six-sided ring, and this is what sets your company apart. But on your supposed biggest show of the year, you're back to using a regular ring, and it's not even yours, doesn't have your branding or logo on it.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to make it. I sound like I'm making excuses for TNA. I'm just saying the situation. They're hurting for money. They had a television. You know what I mean? Shipping a ring to Japan for just one show is expensive as
Yeah,
shit.
but I'm pretty sure.
And
I
they're
mean,
probably trying to cut. I mean, they're not even in high def anymore. You know,
yeah, but
according
I
to
mean,
a lot of people.
ring rental for like a over here, if you're renting a ring for a show, ranges from about, I don't know what it is in the U.S., but it ranges from maybe two to $3,000. Um,
Yeah.
if you're
Yeah, but
renting a ring.
dude, I honestly think they're that hurt for money.
You know,
I
but you're telling me that Dixie Carter can't turn to her dad, who runs Panda Energy, one of the largest energy companies in the United States, that fires over half the U.S., and turn to him and go, "Hey, Dad, can you lend me $3,000?"
I think she probably could have 6 years ago. I think she goes straight to voicemail these days. But I
But
don't
that's the
know
thing.
the
It's like
Carter family
that's
relationship.
the difference, and that's the one thing I will say for Vince McMahon, because back when he was building WWF into what it is now, and I know you can argue and say that he didn't start with nothing because he bought it from his
Yeah,
father.
yeah. That always burned my ass when he's like, I'm a self-made man.
Yeah, but you know what? At one point, he was, he was betting everything on WrestleMania being successful. This has included mortgaging his own home and doing all sorts of stuff just for the product to be successful. And I don't think that Dixie Carter is that invested in it. I don't,
Well, and not only, but
maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think she's
I
mortgaging her
also,
home.
I also, well, she, to the best of my knowledge, she wasn't in Japan. But I think the honeymoon is over, and I think the biggest problem is not necessarily the money, but she has no vision. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Right now, TNA's been the best it's ever been for wrestling fans, but
yeah.
I think
Well,
it's only best for wrestling fans because they don't have enough money to pay for Hulk Hogan.
Well, I have a quick statement, and then I've got a question for you. The statement's that everybody's talking about when is TNA going to go out of business, because that's the big thing. They're like, oh, it's going to go. They're going to lose the TV deal, and they're going to go out of business. But they do have TV in other countries, and they just signed a deal. I think it was. I'm not 100% sure, but they signed another overseas deal that will keep them on the air to 2019. So they signed a deal to provide programming until 2019. Um, so they have other markets that are really, really big markets. They have a great TV deal in the United Kingdom. They have a great TV deal in Europe. They have an amazing TV deal in India, and they just signed another one a few days ago. So I mean, I don't think that there's any chance of it going out of business completely. It may go off the air in the United States, but I think it'll still be around in one form or another. But my question for you then, Dave, was this, and it's not entirely related, but it's just the promotion of Bound for Glory. I didn't see that they were promoting Bound for Glory that well in Japan. I know that they did some promotion over here, but I didn't think it was amazing. But what did you think of Dixie Carter's tweets when she started tweeting out pictures of the typhoon heading for Japan and saying, the typhoon's not the only destructive force headed for Japan? And then she put a picture of James Storm's face in the typhoon that was headed for Japan and said, the storm's coming, watch out, Japan. Now, she later deleted those tweets, but we don't hear a whole lot about the
Well,
typhoon.
there's two things. Either she's being offensive on purpose just to get a reaction, because it's a media strategy. It's going to get really nerdy here, but it's a marketing media strategy where you say something offensive and apologize right away, because then people are like, oh, she's human. She made a mistake. The company's
Just
human.
like
They
Big
made a
Show.
mistake. It's actually a media strategy. Like, go out and be like, I hate puppies. Fuck puppies. Be like, I love puppies. And be like, oh, Kocosports would like to apologize, because it gets people talking, and then people love to forgive somebody. That's a possibility, or she's a fucking idiot. You got to remember, Japan is hit by national disaster after national disaster very often. And to say that is just stupid, especially considering. Remember New Jersey?
Were
New
people, were
Jersey, New
people
Jersey got hit by a hurricane, and they had a charity. It was
Yeah,
just
that's
like,
true.
you know. Vincent is Valentine says jet lag probably. That's TNA's fault too. Like I said, weeks. TNA should have Bobby fucking Lashley, Bobby Roode, and 3 other wrestlers come here a week earlier and promote that shit everywhere.
Plus, Bobby Lashley, I think, would have been huge just because of the dual sports thing.
Yeah. And I am Mikey. This you want this to be the last comment of the night because it's getting late
Sure.
here. My last comment of the night. I am Mikey. Anything else, we'll answer in a Stump the Idiot or down in the comments below. Thank you so much for the live comments. Even if you disagree, it's cool. I want to build a community where we can be passionate fans. I noticed on YouTube, you're like, we disagree. All right, well, screw you. I'm out. I don't want that type of, you know, what's the environment? That's not the word. Community. That's the word. All right, I am Mikey. Mike Ashman, you get the last question of the day. TNA, or comment, we don't know what's question yet. TNA Impact Bound for Glory, I feel, would have been an awesome one-night-only event. Building Bound for Glory as the biggest event confused majority of fans, especially those who spent $60 in North America and the top build stars not even booked. TNA Bound for Glory overall is better than any WWE's 3 hours of Raw. And I think I could agree with that. He kind of hit home run. I'm glad I am Mikey got it. All right, so there you go. Any comments after that comment, we will try to get to. We apologize if we missed them. It's just we can't go on all night, so we'll try to hit it up. Thank you all for the live comments. Please check out Kocosports.net or Kocosports.com. It takes you to the same place where the world comes to kick at you. Home for combat sports above all, where it's okay to be a passionate fan. And you might see something via magic. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And we'll have the results, and you'll also have my photos up. And we are hoping that we'll become your #1 review show. And above that, we're hoping that Coco Sports will keep improving every day. And I mean this. I know I say this a lot, but this is my goal. I want to improve every day so that one day you'll just see Coco Sports as your #1 spot for combat sports news and being your #1 portal. We have a long way to go to where we want to be, but every day I yell at Jerry to get better. Jerry.
It's true.
Jerry.
Not only does he yell at me, he beats me. I just want to say one thing. For all the comments, thank you very much for all the comments. And even the comments that disagree with us, to be honest, I actually like those the best because I love the interaction and I love to get a debate going. I love to have other people's opinions because if you have a show where there are two guys who agree on absolutely everything, and unfortunately, I think maybe me and Dave agreed a little bit more than we normally do on this particular show. But when you have people that just agree on everything, it's not entertaining. You need to have those different opinions. So when you have other people who say, you know what, I didn't like the show, and here was why I didn't like the show, and we're saying we like the show, that's amazing. That's fantastic. It gives us something to talk about. It gives us points and counterpoints, and it makes our show better. So even if you have a different opinion, don't just go away. Tell us your different opinion. Tell us why, and help us because that makes our show better. It gives us more to talk about, and it hopefully gives us more interaction with you.
All right, and please, Jerry, David Cooey, and possibly a bunch of others are working hard to make Kocosports.net great. We're trying to build a community. So if you go over there, just be like, hey, Jerry, thanks for being awesome. Love, Internet Infantry. All right, Jerry, thank you. Internet Infantry, thank you. And please check out Kocosports.net. With that, I am over. What the? Are we going off the air? I hit stop like 20 minutes ago. All right, let's read some more comments. Dun, 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 dun. This has to be a record. What's your call on the record? We're still live, bro.
Yeah, apparently we're
We
going
hit the
into
stop
overtime.
button. Someone leave a comment if you can hear what we're
I actually
talking.
just got a call. I just got a call
there
from
we
the
go.
YouTube network. They're giving us overtime.
No, we're still live. Failed to broadcast. Oh, we failed to stop? I think we're still on air. If someone hears us, please talk. It said something failed. Let's see. Vincent Valentine. And I don't think. Are we still on the air? All right. We'll try again. Go to Kocosports.com. With that, I am over. don't think they're gonna let us go.
I think that you're singing off key. I think that's what it is.
It still says we're live. This is the most awkward thing ever. I want to go home.
Okay,
I
yeah,
want to go
it
home.
still says, according to what I see, it says we're live.
Yeah, yeah. Someone leave a comment if you can still hear us. Failed to stop broadcast. Please try again. We can't stop the broadcast.
Okay. So here's the thing. YouTube first of all told us we couldn't go live. So now they're like, well, now you can go live, but you can never ever stop.
All right, we're gonna try again. Here we go. Stop and broadcast. Bam. I'm not even singing now.
And we're still live.
Yeah. Well, it's thinking about stopping.
Well, we unintentionally started the Kocosports 24/7 network.
Oh yeah, see, someone just said 24/7 Kocosports 2 seconds ago. We're trying to go. We want to go home. Failed to stop broadcast. Please try again. It's like 9:30 at night. I have a family. I have a family. We gotta go home.
It is 8:16 a.m. and yeah, we are still.
All night. He wants to go to bed. I have a family. My kids got to go to school. I got to kiss them goodnight. We really can't stop. Because I thought maybe we weren't on the air. It's just effing with us. But Mikey Ashman just said 24/7 Kocosports. This is the craziest I've ever seen. I hope we don't lose the show. That would be horrible if we lost the show. Alright. Still live. Failed to stop broadcast. Please try again. And as of 17 seconds ago, we're still live. Keep us updated, Mikey. You don't know what to do. I'm hitting stop again.
This is the show that never ends.
I mean, if we just exit, what happens? Does it just go on? Does it record our life forever?
It records for the rest of your life.
I feel like we're going to have to X out of this. My whole thing is, I hope we don't lose the show. It's still live. Ask us questions while we have a chance. Let's see. I'll just keep reading comments.
Do we have more comments?
It failed to stop broadcast. Please try again. All right, let's go. Maybe they knew we had comments. All right. Yeah, that does seem to be the case with Daddy Carter. No more excessive spending by Baby Carter. That's from Vincent is Valentine. Am I the only one that was thinking TNA losing the TV network deal made them panic and hurt the Bound for Glory product? Money is the main thing trying to keep promotion rolling. Clearly, Dixie's parents don't want to pour money into the product. TNA is on a thin thread. November, December spike is open to not giving time slot to TNA closer to 2015 is. It is a very rocky time for TNA. It's a very rocky time for Kocosports. We want it. TNA wants to stay in business, and we want to go home.
Well, you know, the funny thing is I actually went to TNA's website earlier. I was going to check if they had done their results yet, and one of the things I noticed was an advertisement saying, and this is seriously what the advertisement said. It said, "Hey, are you a hot young stud looking for an older sugar mama? Then you're in the right place." And I immediately thought that Dixie Carter was putting personal advertisements on the site, because you know now that Magnus has gone off and had a kid with Mickey James, she's probably in the market.
All right, it says 8:17 a.m. in Toronto, still here, still live. I can picture Dave change his computer. LOL, Kocosports 24/7. I'm not making this up. I'm hitting the stop button again. Hey, Fred Haley. We'll be doing your Q&A when Boo Boo returns. Thank you for the fan. All right, we're going to try again. Go to Kocosports.com so we can leave. All right, I'm hitting stop. What do we do? Do we just stay on forever? Do we walk away? The one thing is, I think if we turn it off, turn the computer off, then I think hear me out. I think this show might be gone forever, or just go forever.
Oh, sweet Jesus, sweet baby Jesus. Okay, here's what I'm thinking. I'm gonna disconnect,
Oh, no, so I got to stay 24/7?
Yes, I'm going to disconnect, and what I'm going to suggest...
Failed to stop broadcast. Please try again. No, might as well try again. Where's now? We can't go home. Well, at least you get to hear behind the scenes. My wife's be like, "This is what you do with your life." Yes.
I'm going to suggest closing your browser window, Dave.
All right. We'll give it one more chance, and we're gonna have to close. If Vincent is Valentine says TNA seems to be just waiting for 2014 to be over and done with. I feel the same way as well. Yep. I just want this show to be failed to stop broadcasting. Please try to get them. Do you hear the little dings?
Yeah, no, I'm not hearing that on my end.
Oh, yeah, it's like ding! Alright, it's stopping. Alright, we're really going to have to hang up on this, and hopefully we didn't lose the show. Vincent Valentine, Franielli, I Am Mikey, I'm just going down, Ray Thompson, Mr. the King. If we lose this show, you have to tell others how great it was. Whoever's listening live, if we lose this show forever, you just have to tell people, like, no, it was great. It was one of the greatest shows ever. Failed to stop broadcast. Please try again. Alright. Do we officially just close shizzing it down and be like, hey, hope for the best?
I think you're saying, please stop broadcast. YouTube is replying, I disagree.
Stop broadcast? They wanted to take our channel away. They didn't want us to go live. Now we want to go home. I want to play Nintendo. I want to give my kids a hug. Don't we deserve that?
YouTube is your child now.
What are we going to do, bro?
I'm going to disconnect, and I'm going to suggest that you close your browser window.
But what if it's lost forever? Do we just say those 5 people that watched live, there you go, failed to stop broadcast. Please try again.
Them's your options.
All right. I'm going to stop the broadcast. All right. Jerry, we said goodbye 800 times, but this could be your final goodbye.
All right. Can I do it?
I was about to hit you with copyright.
Are you going to sue me?
I'm going to sue you.
I am over.
All right. I think Jerry's gone. I'm going to try to stop it one more time because I really don't want to lose the show, and I don't know if there's any connection to doing it. This is the most awkward thing ever. By the way, if anyone new viewers came in, we're trying to end the show, but YouTube won't let us. Alright, I think Jerry's gone. Jerry, are you gone? Yep, we're still live. Let's see, any live comments? Failed to stop broadcast. Failed to stop broadcast. It says, Dave, did you break the internet? Yes. Quite a love-hate relationship you two got going on, Giggity. He's just mad because my main man is EC3 now. And it still says Jerry's here. I think Jerry's in the Alright, this is last time. Stop broadcast, baby. Here we go. End the show. Come on. If we all believe, Vincent, Franielli, I Am Mikey, if we all believe together, maybe it will stop the show. Dun, 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 dun. All right. Come on, baby. Stop the show. You're thinking about it. This is the most awkward thing that's ever happened to me. Well, probably not, but yeah, failed to stop broadcast. All right, I'm really going to have to X out. Hopefully, this show is saved. If not, Vincent Valentine, Franielli, I Am Mikey, all the guys watching the live show, you're going to have to remember how great this show was because you're probably the only ones that will ever watch it. Hopefully, it'll stop. All right. So, I don't know how long this is going to go on for, but I'm really going to close my browser now. All right. So, please go to Kocosports.com whenever this video really ends. With that, I am over. Dude, I don't think they'll let me close.